Hi, this is Caleb and I'm from Vivacè Café here in Kharghar. We are a specialty coffee cafe. To be very honest with you, Vivace started from a need. I wanted to have a place where I can educate young kids that came from the streets, where I could help them develop a skill. And I thought, well, maybe a coffee can pay for it. So I can have a place that may have a coffee machine so we can pay for the place. But it's supposed to be a place where young people, have a safe place where they can be, themselves. But what we realized eventually was that coffee in itself became that place for them. So studying coffee, learning about coffee, serving coffee, interacting with customers as they, serve the coffee. I think that ended up becoming more of a safe community than just a place. And so Vivace was born from an ideology where we wanted underprivileged kids to use us as a springboard, as a platform where they could come and enter the coffee world. What we didn't realize was that by becoming, let's say, a training academy, specialty coffee association academy, by becoming a training center, what we were doing was we were actually springboarding them ahead of their peers. So they actually ended up becoming much better than some of the other baristas that are out there. And of course, all because of their hard work and dedication. So the whole idea of starting Vivace was to create a space for underprivileged kids to use the opportunity to understand coffee and then to, grow from there. You must have heard this saying, no, people who can't do teach. And so that is one thing that we never wanted to do is we don't want to teach without doing. For example, uh, how do I know what's current in the coffee world if I'm not running a cafe? And if I'm not running a cafe and I'm just teaching a curriculum that is 5 years old, my kids are not current. They won't be able to, face the current situations or learn how to face the current situation. So we run the cafe because we want our curriculum to be current. We want to know what's happening outside. We want to know what's happening in the world. But Vivace in itself is actually a barista academy. Vivace is an Italian term. It says in a very lively and a brisk manner. It comes from music. And what we believed is here, we want to create a space for life, a space where, life really flourishes. And so that's why we have the academy, but we have the cafe that also kind of supports the academy and also kind of gives us the resources, to run an academy. So I don't have any entrepreneurial background. I don't have any business background. I'm actually, all my life I worked with social work. So I started off working with the anti-human trafficking unit. I worked with a lot of rehabilitation programs, foster care programs. And I think my entire background has been in the social sector. And that's why we started the cafe. The cafe was based on a social foundation. But I think over the years, we've fallen in love with coffee, so much so that we've been able to kind of really pioneer certain academic processes here in India. And we're really happy to do that. Our story is very unique. And it's all because of God's glory. It's all because of Jesus. Because one thing I've noticed is, He paved the way. We just had to walk. God just opened doors for us. And I think I owe all of my success to Jesus, because when we were doing the cafe, you have these problems ना कि जगह नहीं मिल रहा है, ये नहीं मिल रहा है, और हमको 2 हफ्ते में जगह मिल गया. I found the place on Facebook Marketplace, this particular place. And long story short, what I took would take 3 years to set up a cafe. In 3 months, I was ready. And actually, when we started serving coffee, the first couple of days, I was literally serving people cappuccinos, and niche, I had my iPad on with how to make a cappuccino, how to make a latte, because it was so fast. It was so, that acceleration was so much that we had to catch up. And we spent about 7,000 hours on YouTube, watching people like James Hoffman, Prometheus, Kyle Roswell. We were watching them and learning from them at the same time we were doing. So it was very funny the first couple of weeks. In fact, I'd have baristas tell me, ऐसे नहीं करते. and I'm like, "Mujhe nahi pata." I don't know how to make a latte, or the difference between a cappuccino, and then we kind of put things up in the cafe saying, okay, this is what an espresso is, this is what an Americano is. But eventually, I think we started becoming so good at it that we were able to help people understand the preferences that they like, And so, yeah, I think for me, that journey was very interesting. But I think, if you can trust in God and just walk whatever path He has given you, I think these kind of things are just a daily routine. Yeah. So there's this entire shift in the way coffee is being perceived. Coffee is not just a number, it's not just a score. Coffee has a value. For you, uh, coffee might be, it reminds you of spending time with your mom. Somebody else, coffee might be, oh, this reminds me, so many times that I've gone out for a date with this particular person who's special to me. Similarly, in the coffee commodity world, or in the world where we are trading, buying, selling coffee, we used to have a score. That score is called a Q score, or a Q grader would give a particular score or a value to coffee. But right now, what we're doing is we're shifting from that perspective. We're shifting to a perspective where we want to understand the value of that coffee for the buyer as well as the seller. Right? There are so many other things that matter when you buy coffee. For example, is my coffee organic? I want to buy a Colombian coffee. So my perspective or my priorities change as a buyer or seller or even a trader. So the Q grading now that it's called the evolved Q grader, and here is understanding what are the aspects that provide value to coffee. So the intrinsic aspects of the coffee itself, so the taste of the coffee, the flavor profile of the coffee, things like that, as opposed to the extrinsic, like the size of the coffee, or where the coffee is coming from, what are the certifications, did this coffee win any championship, things like that. There are assessments. So like there are personalized assessments like, okay, intensity of this coffee, did I like this coffee? Was this a very high intensity, acidity, sweetness? Or also, I could also be very subjective about it. Did I like it? Or I could be objective about it, like saying, okay, will my particular cafe, the people that come there, will they like it? So there are these kind of, it's called the coffee value assessment forms. And so now, as an evolved Q grader, we're also an evolved Q instructor, which means we are teaching people to actually grade their coffee. We're teaching people to become Q graders themselves. We're providing the course here. And we're very proud to be one of the first few to do that. But we're also very happy that this kind of course is now available to our kids. So our kids understand the value of coffee, and they're able to beat that curve of education where they know these things much before their peers. So again, the perspective is that our kids kind of get benefit from that. This is a debate that is going on, but we do something called calibration. So we try, whenever there are international events, national events, we calibrate. So I'm also a jury member for the Coffee Board of India. So whenever we judge any competition, all of us judges get together and then we calibrate. Okay, this coffee, this is an intensity 9, or this coffee, this is the taste flavor notes that I'm getting. Uh, Simultaneously, we calibrate to people that have calibrated internationally, or we go to international events and then we calibrate with them and things like that. So even a Q grader every few years has to recalibrate. There are exams, there are tests that they have to maintain. Having said that, there is a level of which why the CVA, the new form, is so interesting is because now that form is not just a Q grader. I can give you that form and I can say, brother, what do you think about this coffee? And you can mark it. And now I can give the form to my staff. I can give it to my customers and they can mark it. And then I know, okay, this coffee, my staff and my customers, they like it. Now, it doesn't matter whether that coffee scored a 75 or a 95, because of all the 5 coffees I gave them, they like this. And जो उनको चाहिए मैं वही बेचूंगा ना. I can't tell them नहीं ये 95 coffee आपको यही पीना है. So that's where the value comes more than just a score. It's like understanding an overall picture of that coffee, getting an overall what kind of acceptance will, because like you said, no, coffee is very subjective, very personal. And so some areas, people, for example, you go to South India, they still love that bitter filter coffee with a lot of sugar and, milk in it. Whereas as you go North India, some people won't even touch coffee. They prefer their black tea. Some places now, metro cities, people don't drink milk. Suddenly, this whole lactose intolerant. So they will drink only black coffee. Some people, like for example, I enjoy an espresso. So I think it depends now. The market is the Indian community knows what they want. And I think that's important also to cater to that. Yeah. So at our cafe, we always encourage new things. We always encourage innovation. But I think we all will agree that innovation is rooted in history. Like, you want to move forward without forgetting the past. You want to take technology ahead, but you also want that history and that culture that comes along. So here at Vivace, we travel a lot and we bring things. So some of the things that you will try today are, for example, French beignets. Was We were introduced to it when we watched a movie and we saw about beignets being made in New Orleans at a place called Cafe du Monde. And then I had the opportunity to go there. And so when we went there, we learned the recipe, brought something back. And then I gave it to my kids and they were like, "Ye hum Indian version banayenge yaar." We'll make it our own way. And it's amazing. I love what they've done. Similarly, Mexican churros, stuff like that. So I think we've encouraged our kids to innovate. So there are a few drinks on our menu that we have created along with friends, of course. We have our barrel aged coffees. We have coffees that we have blended with orange, Malta orange, which a friend of mine has grown herself in the Himalayas. So she actually runs an orchard there, and she kind of reduced them into like a concoction. So we use that here, and we sell it as a slushy. We serve it as a slushy, and so we do that. It's called the cold brew martinis. Been inspired by different cafes to do things like a black coffee, so which is basically a charcoal activated charcoal along with mint and chocolate and things like that. So I think we've been inspired by a lot of people that have gone ahead of us in the cafe world, but we also, I think, like to innovate once in a while with things that we'd like to do. So one of the things that we're very proud of is that we get opportunities because of our partners in the coffee world, people that have that believe in us. So one of them is like Believe Who. They're an amazing brand that has taken coffee to a very next level in terms of specialty coffee. And one of the things we're doing with them is they have partnered with the Geo World Plaza at BKC, and we do coffee omakase events there. So basically, a coffee tasting menu. We, along with their team, which is head by Chef Ritu Dalmia, they provide the food, we provide the coffee, and then we create this omakase event. So I think for us, we're very blessed and we're very grateful that the coffee community in the whole has accepted us, but is also helping us grow. So like we spoke about, the signature dishes that we were talking about, the beignets, the coffee, things like that. So here we decided that we wanted to go the pure route, so we did an Italian menu. So we do pastas, we do pizzas, but then we also realized that, there are some things that every cafe must have, like fries and cheesy fries and garlic fries and things like that. So we do that as well. And then we have people that work here. So they do like they spend the whole day here. So sometimes they want a little bit of change. So like we have some burgers that we have some pizzas. And so the way we've designed the menu is more from a place of what does the customer want? What do they need? In terms of our some of our dishes are very popular. People really enjoy. So, like I said, the bayonets that are the French bayonets. Those are something that people love. We started doing Mexican churros, and we make our own ganache. So we actually have our ganache infuses an espresso in it, and so that kind of gives people a more I don't want to say kick, but it gives like a nice caffeine balance to the whole dish. So we do that, and we also, for example, from the food and beverage industry that have come in. So I had Chef Binoy Patel come in, and what he did was he taught us how to do burgers right. So he's like the burger king. If you're ever in Goa, you did definitely visit his place. But we had him come in and kind of help us out with burgers and train us and teach the kids. And I think a lot of people have kind of been involved in the development of our menu, and we're very grateful to that. Yeah. So none of our kids came from, like a hotel management background or training. None of them actually came with any soft skills training. Some of them didn't even. It was very hard for them to speak English as well, and so that was a challenge for us. But I think the community around us, the people, the cafe people, they didn't mind. They didn't mind giving their orders in Hindi. They didn't mind repeating themselves a couple of times. They didn't get angry because my kids would not smile at them when they came in, because they knew this was a place where these children were being trained. They knew, and they became part of the community and society that accepted these kids as they are. And because of not just me, but because of my entire this whole community here, I think our kids grew into becoming professionals. That was one of the biggest scenarios for us, was biggest concern for us. But I think people just walked alongside us. I know some of our staff are like, people personally come and check in on them. How are you doing? How is your prep? We have a staff that actually, he actually was a barista at the Ambani wedding. And so when he came back, so many of our customers and, our customers who are now family for us were like, they celebrated him. And I think for him, that was something he'll tell his kids and the grandkids, that kind of story. But yeah, scenarios like that, we've seen a lot. But by God's grace, I think Jesus has just opened this place, and his love and his grace, flows through this place. So many people have come here and felt peace, joy. We've been able to create a space where, mothers and daughters who've not spoken to each other for years have come down here and then just held each other and cried. Friends that have fought for so long have been able to kind of, make up here. We've been able to see people. We've had people actually who've been suicidal call us. I don't know how many times, or I don't know if you've ever come across somebody saying, okay, I'll call Vivacè Café because I feel like ending my life. But we've had so many people here. In fact, we now have a counselor that sits here 3 times in a week, because we are very close to a lot of, colleges, and we're very happy that people are able to use this place for that. So the vision of the cafe has always been empowerment. So education, encouragement, empowerment. We want our kids to go ahead, maybe even more ahead than I am, And I think it's been happening. We're seeing small things here and there. And, Yusuf, who is my business partner, is going to come in a bit. And he's going to share about how actually our kids are making are making a mark on the coffee industry. Some of our kids have actually gone to train, to consult, to help other cafes grow. And I think it's good that you hear from the horse's mouth itself. So here's Yusuf.
Hi, welcome to Vivace. This is Yusuf Mohammadi. I am a partner here and a trainer, and we'll be talking about some of the courses we offer, some of our students, what they've learned, what they're contributing to the coffee world right now. We're just setting up for the coffee value assessment course, so we have a little bit of a setup here. We have Vishal inside. He'll be joining us soon. He'll be talking about his experience while setting up in Ooty. We also have Mark. He's not here right now. He's running our project in Goa. We're also setting up in Andaman. So we've gotten into consulting because we've learned a lot about running cafes from our mistakes here, and now we're helping other people set up and jump through that. So we're running Vivace like a launch pad where all of our students also jump up. We have people who are running cafes. They used to work here. They've learned from us, and now they're managing cafes across Bombay and other locations. So our students here, we start with the basic barista training, how to make coffee. But then after that, you also need to go higher. You need to learn more in depth. So we're doing specialty coffee here, and we learn about how to assess coffee, how to get the best out of coffee. The coffee value assessment, where you look at green beans right here. How do you assess them before roasting? How do you look at roasted coffee? We have a few different coffees here from there's Colombian coffee, there's some from Honduras, there's Brazilian coffee, there's also some from Thailand. How do you see these coffee beans and then look at if the quality is good? Are these good for espresso? Are these good for pour overs? And how best to brew them? So all of this is learned here at Vivace. Our students learn all of this. Most of our students here don't come from well-educated background. They don't come from a hotel management background. So we focus on skill-based learning. They come here, they learn everything hands-on, and then we don't want them to stick around over here. We want them to go out, create their own dent in the coffee world. So Mark is running the Goa project for us now. We're sending some people to Andaman soon. We're setting up in Maldives. We have a few projects. You've done one in Ooty just recently. Vishal will tell you more about it, but he went there, set up the whole thing. You just saw how a little bit a sneak peek into the coffee value assessment we're doing this course. We'll be calling some of our students in. There's Vishal here, there's Marina. They've been working here with us full time for the past couple of years, and they've learned all of this hands on. Now, when we're expanding into consulting projects, we're helping handhold other people who want to set up cafes without going through the whole learning curve. So, Vishal was recently in Budlur. We set up a cafe over there. Marina runs the operations here, and they will be telling you more about their stories and experiences from it. So, let's hear from Vishal.
Hello guys, I'm Vishal. I'm managing the Vivacè Café. तो यहाँ पे जब मैं विवाचे कैफे में आया तब यहाँ पे मतलब एकदम फ्रेश था, मतलब कि ज़्यादा कॉफ़ी के बारे में नॉलेज नहीं था। पर जब यहाँ पे आया तो कॉफ़ी बनाने का, क्योंकि सर खुद सीखे हुए हैं बहुत प्रोफेशनल्स, तो उन्होंने मेरे को कॉफ़ी सिखाया, लाटे आर्ट भी उन्होंने सीखा एक्चुअली देखा जाए तो। और कॉफ़ी बनाना, कस्टमर से बात करना, और फूड जो भी हम बनाते हैं कैफ़े में वो, और खुद में मतलब मैं खुद पहले कैसा एकदम कमज़ोर था, मतलब कि बात करने की ज़्यादा होता है कस्टमर से, क्योंकि नया-नया था, तो डर लगता था। तो यहाँ पे आने के बाद वो मैं सीखा कॉन्फिडेंस में बात करने का कस्टमर से, कि हाँ, कि हमारे कैफ़े में ये मिलता है, ये अच्छा है, ऐसा करने के लिए। और हम यहाँ पे लाटे आर्ट मैं यहाँ पे आने के बाद प्रोफेशनल हुआ, तब मैं कॉम्पिटिशन में भी लाटे आर्ट जाके किया। और यहाँ पे मैंने ब्रूज़ सीखा, कॉफ़ी, ब्लैक कॉफ़ी, और एसीए कोर्स का मतलब कॉफ़ी जो रहता है वो पूरा बड़ा वाला, और कैलिब्रेशंस यहाँ पे, मतलब हम यहाँ पे इतना सारा सीखने के बाद मेरे को बहुत सारा अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ मिलता है कि हम बाहर जाके लोगों को कॉफ़ी सिखा सकें। तो मेरे को एक अपॉर्चुनिटी मिला कि मैं ऊटी में जाके तो उनको कॉफ़ी के बारे में सिखा सकूँ, लाटे आर्ट, मैनेजिंग का कैसा, जब क्योंकि मैं मैनेजर हूँ, तो मेरे को मैनेज करने के लिए वहाँ पे सर बोले कि हम उनको सिखाएँगे कि कैसा मैनेज करना है, क्या है। क्योंकि उनके पास मैनेजर था बट इतना सारा है नहीं, तो हमको वहाँ पे सिखाना था। तो हम गया और वहाँ पे कॉफ़ी, लाटे आर्ट, कॉफ़ी का रेसिपीज़ थोड़ा-सा सिखाया, और लाटे आर्ट, और कैसा कस्टमर से बात करना चाहिए, मैं यहाँ पे सीखा कि कस्टमर से कैसे कॉन्फिडेंस में बात करना है, कि सर, हेलो सर, गुड मॉर्निंग, हाउ आर यू? ऐसा बात करने के लिए हमको उनको मैनेजर को सिखाया, फिर स्टाफ को सिखाया उनके साथ में, फिर वो कैफ़े मैनेज करने के लिए उनको हो गए। तो अभी उनका कैफ़े मस्त चल रहा है। मेरा फ्यूचर प्लान ये है कि मैं खुद का कैफ़े खोलूँ, और मैं भी ऐसा सिखाते-सिखाते सर के साथ में हमेशा रह के हम बढ़ना चाहता है। हमारा टीम है, हमारा एक विज़न है कि बहुत बड़ा टीम हमारे साथ में रहे, हम मिलते रहे जब तक हम हैं, और ऐसा ज़रूरतमंद लोगों का मदद करें, जैसे कि अभी सर ने मेरा मदद किया, हम बहुत सारे लोगों की मदद करते रहता है। तो ऐसा मैं चाहता हूँ कि मैं भी वैसा बनूँ और लोगों का मदद करते रहूँ। तो यहाँ पे युवाचा कैफ़े में मरीना सिस्टर है जो कि युवाचा कैफ़े का किचन मैनेज करते हैं। मस्त शेफ़ है वो, मैं उनको बुलाना चाहूँगा यहाँ पे।
हेलो, आई एम मरीना हियर। आई एम द हेड शेफ ऑफ द विवाचे कैफे। मेरा जर्नी ऐसे स्टार्ट हुआ है कि मैंने पहले एक्चुअली आई वाज वर्किंग इन आयुर्वेदा। आई वाज नॉट हैबिट ऑफ ऑल दिस थिंग्स, आई वाज नॉट इनटू इट, सो इट इज अ न्यू थिंग फॉर मी दैट टाइम. So when I started, it was a little difficult for me, but then yeah, when I started learning, then it was a good experience actually. Now I'm running the whole kitchen, so जब भी सर कुछ नया बोलते हैं बनाने के लिए, तो हाँ, वो एक रहता है कि हाँ, कर सकते हैं करके। तो यस, ट्राई करते हैं वो भी। खुद के से भी कुछ हो सकता है तो वो भी करते हैं ऐसा। एज़ आई एम वर्किंग द होल किचन नाउ, सो आई एम थिंकिंग कि फ्यूचर में मैं खुद एक होल कैफ़े रन करूँ। तो ऐसे मतलब एक गर्ल्स का टीम बना के आई वांट टू प्रूव कि गर्ल्स टीम के साथ भी हम लोग कैफ़े चला सकते हैं। आई वांट द यंग गर्ल्स टू नो दैट you all can also do this, because even as I am motivated, you can also be motivated like this.
And I'm actually very grateful and very thankful to the Indian Hospitality magazine. Today, hospitality seems to be, like a declining movement. But hey, we're the guys who created Atiti Devo Bhava, right? It comes from our culture. It is, I mean, even today, if somebody comes to my house, I expect it to be hospitable. And I think I just want to appreciate what you guys are doing. And I just want to thank you guys for this, because it's very important that the common man understands hospitality, And I believe that we are at a place where we're at a turning point, right? We're at a place where now hospitality is becoming a boom again. Yes, we had a bump because of COVID, but now I think it's time for us to become the number one the number one country when it comes to hospitality. So all the best and thank you so much. Appreciate it.